Hey guys, what's up? Jared here. Fantasy football, about to hit the corners. Even some people are doing their drafts. For me, you know us, we don't do our draft till August, right before the season starts. Shout out to my boy Joe Mixon. Eric got me this jersey last year for Christmas. Gotta rock him today. All right, like I said earlier, top 5 receivers. Number 1, easy, Antonio Brown. The guy continues to blow up every year. Only played 14 games last year, 1,500 yards receiving. Dude's stupid. All right. Number 2, didn't play much last year, Odell Beckham Jr. The guy averages double-digit touchdowns every year he's played, except for last year, which he was injured the entire season. Right? 12 to 1,500 yards receiving. He's a no-brainer. If he's healthy, he's a transcendent player. Without a doubt, one of the best players that you're going to see in the next 5 years. You know, nobody's going to touch that guy athletically. Number 3, this is a little tough for me. I didn't know where I'd wanted to go here, but you got to go with stats. And the guy that continues to put up 1,400-yard seasons every year, and that's Julio Jones. The guy's a monster. Why his quarterback doesn't look for him in the end zone, beyond me. Do not get it. Can't figure it out. But Matt Ryan has a savage, and he doesn't give him the ball. So, got to give that guy the rock in the end zone. That's why fantasy owners back off him a little bit, because he's only had one double-digit season ever. You know, in his 2010, or not 2010, but he had 10 touchdowns. And he's currently holding out. He's got 3 years left on his contract, and you just don't know if he's going to even show up right now. But I don't expect him to do that. He's got to make some money. Going to pay $40,000 every day he holds out from training camp. So we'll see what happens. Number 4 for me was pretty easy. Even though he's been in the league for 2 years, it's Michael Thomas. I mean, the guy averages 1,200 yards receiving, you know, and he's got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You know, his first year he had just about 1,000 yards receiving, and that was with Brandon Cooks as the number 1. You know, obviously the Saints didn't see him as the number 1, so they shipped him off. Right? Brandon Cooks is going to be a huge drop-off this year. He's had the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, bar none, and he's going to go to a guy who's in his 3rd year. Just not going to hack it that way. I'm sorry for Brandon Cooks, but he ain't a first-round talent without a first-round quarterback. And even though his quarterback was a first-round draft pick, he doesn't have the arm talent the other 2 have. Face it, it's what it is. Number 5, kind of a tough one because it all depends on his quarterback. But DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best receivers in pro football. I drafted him 1 year in fantasy, and I traded him way before the draft was even over. This is no kidding. I traded him and I think Matt Forte away, or no, him and somebody else for Matt Forte. Eddie Lacy and DeAndre Hopkins from Matt Forte and Emmanuel Sanders. Should have kept DeAndre Hopkins, but I knew I couldn't do the deal without it. So Eddie Lacy didn't play hardly at all that season, so it was a good trade overall for me. All right, so those are my top 5 receivers. Pretty easy group. Top 5 guys that I think make the jump this year. Right, number 1 for me has got to be Kenny Stills. You know, he's averages about 80 receptions a year, and that's what the leading receptions leader over the last 4 years, and Jarvis Landry leaving the team now. And, you know, Tannehill's got to look at somebody. And I don't think Devontae Parker's the guy. I think Kenny Stills proves day in and day out that the guy has skills. You know, he catches everything, runs great routes, has good speed. I think Kenny Stills is probably going to be the number 1 there, where they want Devontae Parker to be number 1 or not. I think he breaks 100 receptions this year. I think people are going to get him in, you know, the 4th, 5th, 6th round, and that guy is going to get 100 receptions. Jarvis Landry, he's probably a 3rd round guy, you know, at least. But if he gets 15 touchdowns or even 10 touchdowns and 1,200 yards receiving when they make them a wide receiver 1, I think that happens this year. I really think Kenny Stills makes the jump. He's my number 1 for that, and it could be a huge deal. He could jump in the top 5 guys, and you know, for next year, because he blows up this year. Just got to go look at somebody. Okay, number 2, for me is probably going to be Marquise Goodwin. Garoppolo's got some time with him now. You know, he looks at him a lot more. He's going to depend on somebody, and Goodwin is that talent. Goodwin's an elite athlete with crazy speed. Marquise Goodwin's going to be my guy for my number 2 breakout guys. A guy that dropped off last year, Mike Evans, has something to prove. He's in a year that he needs to make some money. You know, he's never had 100 receptions. I don't know if you guys didn't know that. Even the year he blew up and had 1,300 yards receiving, he didn't have 100 receptions. You know, I think the most he's gotten was 91. So we'll see what happens. You know, he's got a tough group of receivers to deal with and a good tight end, O.J. Howard. So I'd like to see him make the leap. He's been a 1,000-yard guy almost the entire time. But I think he might grow 12, 1,300 yards this year. I think he's got something to prove. And so I think Mike Evans is a guy that you can stretch for. He was a first-round grab last year in our league. So I think he drops the second round this year, but I think he's the guy. My last guy for sure has got to be Demaryius Thomas. Case Keenum, even when he's in college, man, he could do through the ball. You know, and he had 2 receivers last year that were almost 1,000-yard receivers, right? I think you got to look at that. Demaryius Thomas could have a monster year and returns to form. Comes back 1,200 yards and didn't break 1,000 yards last year. So that's what I got. Check it out. I guess I got my little one trying to come at me right now. So peace out. Again, like and subscribe, and I'll upload again tomorrow. Running backs.